Welcome to a new episode of LatinLuxe Chronicles. We are your hosts, Bianca, Rita, and Jennifer. New episodes drop every other Wednesday.
Don't forget to subscribe on Instagram, Apple, and YouTube under LatinLuxe Chronicles. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms.
Jennifer, tell us what we have lined up for today's episode.
On today's episode 1, 2, 3, 4, we will be discussing the beauty standards and expectations for Latina women.
Well, that's a heavy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're going to be discussing it.
So in our last
getting in
episode, in our last episode, we were all discussing our plans to get ready for spring. And amongst those plans, the three of us talked about, not entirely committed yet, but definitely talked about being healthier and being fit. So that got us thinking about the demands that many Latina women face today. There's really high beauty standards in society. You know, we're being bombarded constantly in Instagram, TikTok, anywhere we look on TV about what a Latina should look like. So how do we keep up with everything, nowadays? So let's start off by focusing on the big one, which is weight and body type.
Dang, going right in it. Yeah, that's a big one for sure.
Not all at once, girls. Not all at once.
Yeah, you kick it off today. You kick it off today.
You first, Keikito, the one with the
So tell us, what was Keikito? Because I think that's a big one for a lot of Latina women, is like those nicknames that sometimes your family will give to you, y piensan que son en cariño, but they stick with you and they're like deep. So what was Keikito for you?
Yes, I think we all go through phases when we're little, and as Latinos, we always have nicknames. El enano, el chaparro, mira, mi pingüín, or for something.
And they're nicknames about your like deficiency or whatever's wrong.
Right. They take your biggest insecurity, and they zone in. So I mean, since I've been put on the spot by Rita, I'll go first. I know that as a kid, my weight always fluctuated. I would go from being like thin to chunky to gordita to otra vez flaca to like in between. It was a constant struggle from, the minute I could realize my body type all the way through high school, college, and beyond. I can tell you that for me, when I looked around in my family, it was kind of like my family was split. There were women that were very thin, like on my mom's side, like on my grandma's side. And then there was a little bit more of a voluptuous kind of woman on my dad's side. My sister, for example, my big sister, and when I say voluptuous, I don't necessarily mean like heavy set or con unas libras de más, a few pounds extra. I just mean they were curvaceous. They were what typical modern day Latina looks like. It's like they were chesty, curvy, baba boom. I didn't necessarily look like that. I would either be somewhere in the middle or maybe like bien rellenita. And, I was joking earlier about Equito. I had, my sister is older than me. And when she got married, I was like around 8 years old or something. And my brother-in-law, love him, Pepe, he once said something like, ay, mi quequito, like cupcake, but it was like quequito, like queco from like, that's the Mexican shamu from Reino Aventura. And I'd be like, and he'd be like, quequito.
You're like, wait, ¿qué es un quequito? What does that mean? Yeah. Like, is that good or is it bad?
I know.
It's like,
so it's like,
sprinkles or no sprinkles?
Yeah. It was rough, or it was like, so then, I guess I wasn't that conscious in elementary. It was like middle school, end of middle school into high school. That's when you really notice. I think most of us.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, it was always this comparison of, quiero estar más flaca, quiero estar más delgada. So then, and I'm sure the three of y'all have maybe experienced this. It's like the minute that you as a Latina want to start losing weight, it's like, pues, ¿qué tienes? ¿Estás enamorada? Are you in love? Are you sick?
Why is novio? Yeah.
Correct. And I think that many like traditional Latinos don't have the sense of this health and fitness lifestyle. So it's like nobody's telling you, vete a correr, vamos a hacer ejercicio, watch your portions, So when
it's like, acábate el plato, ¿verdad? Like, no dejes nada. Yeah.
te serví lo que te serví, te lo acabas. Porque hay niños, you know, there's somewhere in the world that don't have anything to eat, and then you're guilted into finishing. So I know that was a big challenge for me. And when I got to my junior year in high school, I said, I mean, at that point I was already working and making money on my own. And I told my mom, I said, I want to go to a nutritionist. And my sister was very supportive in that too. And I said, you know, I want to do that. So we did. And I lost a lot of weight. And by a lot of weight, I mean, I just looked healthy. I mean, I was never going to be like it. I just looked healthy. Then fast forward to college. And when I went to college, I rushed, which means I tried out for a sorority. And the women that were in there, it was a multicultural sorority, but there was mainly a lot of Latinas. And it was like anything you can think of, from like these gorgeous boricuas that were like bien delgaditas, 110 pounds with, you know, like the nice little booty, or you had the nice little petite Mexican-American ones that were super cute and, you know, had a cute little body. And then it was like, okay. And then there was other ones that were tall and slender and delgadas, you know, and I was just, how do I fit in that? And I remember, it's funny because looking back, I remember my weight. My weight used to be at its highest point at that time, 130 pounds. I'd kill to be 130 pounds right now. And it was like, that was my highest. And I was like, oh my God, no, I'm fat. I look at all my fellow like sorority sisters, estoy gorda. Like, I need to lose weight. So I did struggle a lot with that. And I would, disclaimer, I'm like, you know, I don't mind saying this. I would hyper fixate on working out to the point where it would take over my life. And I would be in the gym every day, and I would do like 2 hours of cardio and then go lift a little bit. And then I would hardly eat. Whatever you can think of out there, you know, at the time que era la Anna Nicole Smith vendiendo sus pastillitas,
Life or whatever was a thing.
I would try, because it was like, lose weight. And it wasn't just, it's not that they made me feel that way. I think that was just already in my head programmed. Like, this is,
and I feel like we automatically too, like we start like kind of categorizing ourselves, right? Like when we're in situations, like you're like, especially when you're around other women, or like the stand that you think there is a standard at the time, and you start saying like, oh, like these are the cute ones, these are the ones that are already fit, like they're already thin, and you start putting yourself in those categories, you know. And then you're like, oh, wait, I don't fit that. Or like, I'm not okay because I don't look like that, or I don't have that. And so we start
I
like,
look like her. I want to look like, you know, I'm, you know, whoever, X, Maria, Sofia, whoever it may be. But for me, it was rough. And then I remember, I lost like I said, I wasn't always 130 pounds, but it's like at my highest, fattest point, that's what I was. I dropped down to like 123 pounds. And I stayed there for a while, and I still remember feeling, I'm the fat one. I'm the gordita, you know, and it's like, now I'm like, I wasted youth. I'm like, you know,
I know, right? You wish you could go back to being that fat.
Like, it's like youth is wasted on the young. I'm like, that is how I feel now, because it's like, if only I had known better. And I think for me, I'm just built different. I'm short, but I'm built like, I'm like, I have big thighs, booty there. I'm like, you know, but it's just kind of like my thighs are in a relationship. They're never letting go of each other. This is at time. So it's like,
that's a good thing, you know, because then like there was that mind shift too. I think from whenever, like, you know, years ago it was like, oh, be as skinny as you can, and now everyone's going to get their BBLs done to get those thighs and get that done, you know. So it's like, now it's like cool to be curvy, you know, when before we were like running everything off because we didn't want our curves, and we wanted to look super skinny and fit into all the size zeros or whatever, you know, which never happened. But, you know, we're always like in that mindset. And now I feel like it's so different, because like, honestly, it's like whatever like the majority or social media decides is the new thing, then it's like, it's just all in your face everywhere, right? Because you get on TikTok, you get on Instagram, and you just see, girl, like if you don't look like a certain way with this waist and a curvy, like, you know, body, it's like, you're not it, you know? And so it's just like the standard that other people put, it's like, is that really realistic? Because now how many women are going to pay for it because you feel like you have to look that way in order to be accepted or in order to look good, when it's like, can we just feel good about ourselves? And I think that's where, like, as we grow, it's like accepting that, hey, you know what, like, I need to love myself for how I look, and and first have that self-love, right? Like, and that's a struggle that I think we all sometimes struggle with, because it's like we're our biggest critics, and we're always going to think that even whenever we are losing weight. And, similar to Bianca, like, I struggled too all the time. I was always fluctuating, I was always like, llenita, how de peso. And if I was on a diet, and they're like, oh, ¿por qué no estás comiendo? And like, but then if I lost too much weight, it's like, oh, estás muy flaca, mija, te mirabas mejor así. And then empieza a subir un poquito más. Ay, ya subiste de peso.
What is
¿ya?
it?
It's like, no,
me tienes flaca, me tienes gorda. What do you want from me?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's like the obvious question of las tías, it's like, mija, ¿ya subiste de peso? And I'm like, no me había dado cuenta hasta que me dijo, it's like, but it's like, yes, obviously, we know, and it's our biggest insecurity sometimes. And then like people just go like point it out, but it's like just getting past that point where it's like, you know what, like I'm gonna love myself however I am, and knowing that the comments or the things, like, it's like they hurt still, right? Because I think we grew up with that sensitive like side where it's like you don't feel accepted if, like, you get those compliments. But yeah.
What about you, Jennifer? Like, what was your experience growing up?
So I was very skinny.
Yeah.
And like, I know no, it's not a good thing though.
Right.
Like, I remember
that's a whole nother,
no, that's a struggle in itself, because then it's like, yeah. And I a couple of times was called flaca. And but I was like so skinny, like you could see my collarbone come out, and my face was really skinny, and I was very skinny. And I was also very active. So I have 4 brothers. And so I was always running around, always. You would never catch me inside. I would play with my dolls every once in a while. But the moment that they went outside to run, that was
you were out there.
I was like out there chasing them, and I was getting chased by them, and just doing outdoor stuff with them. So, but I was eating so unhealthy. So, I mean, my metabolism was, super high too.
It kept up with it.
Yeah, because we ate tortillas and frijoles and arroz all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we had homemade tortillas all the time.
Yeah.
We did. And I think and also you're right. It has to do with genes, because I have a picture of my dad. So my mom's side, they're curvaceous. My mom's side is very curvaceous. Like, Cardenas family is so curvaceous. Like, obviously you guys know one of my cousins, who works in our state field, and she's got huge curves, and she's curvaceous. She's got awesome curves, and so and my dad's side, the Garza family, is very like thin. Has always been really thin. And so my brothers were really thin when we were growing up, like lanky. And so I was like that too. And so I had that problem, because I would look at my cousins, like Cardenas, and I'm like, oh, I want to have curves like them.
Yeah.
And
it's like we always want what we don't have, right? Like, if you're curvy, you're like, oh, I wish I was so skinny. And then if you're skinny, you're like, I wish I had those curves. Like,
they had nice legs. I mean, we were all, and there's about maybe 5 of us girls that were the same like age. So when I was about 13, 14, us girls, we were between like 12 and 16, 17. And of course, I would always compare myself to them. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be like Marta and Erika, and, and I would always compare myself to them. And I'm like, wow. Yeah. So then I was always skinny, even high school. Like, I look at pictures from high school, I'm like, like, I'm like this, like, I was just so skinny. And then, I honestly, even like when I got married, I started gaining a little bit of weight, not too much, but the minute that I remember, so I started gaining a little bit of weight, but one thing that that was a breaking point for me is that I couldn't get pregnant. And my doctor said, you need to change your diet, because you have gestational diabetes. Like, you eat a lot of carbs.
Yeah, and you assume that, like, oh, skinny people don't struggle with health issues, but, it's not really. It's not health sometimes, right? Like, yeah.
And so she said, like you have gestational diabetes, and that like your diet has to do a lot with that. And so you need to like the carbs. It's the carbs. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
tortillas
Pero
caught
we
up to me.
tortillas. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wait, like give me all the tortillas. And so when she said that, and she gave me this whole like nutrition meal and said like in the morning you should be eating this much like carbs, and I was married for 6 years, and so at that time I had been married for 6 years, so we had been trying, and I thought, you know what, like I'm gonna follow this plan. I don't agree with it, like I gotta eat healthy, but I'm gonna follow it because I want to have a child. And I did. And after like 4 months, I went back again and I checked my A1C levels because they were super high. And I checked my A1C levels and they had dropped. And I was healthier and still skinny, but I was just healthier. And then a couple of months later after that, then we got pregnant. And so that was crazy. It was like, wow. Like,
how much it has to do with your body, right? And how it functions and works. Yeah.
So then I got pregnant. I was still skinny. Like the only thing I had was like a belly. Like I don't know.
I remember that. Yeah, I went from the back. Okay, like, oh, you didn't even notice.
Yes.
Yeah,
like from the back, nobody could tell I was pregnant.
We don't all have those genes, Jennifer.
No, it wasn't. But I wanted a body. You know,
I'm like, dude, by the 1 month that I'm pregnant, I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, so, like 1 month in.
No, and I was
6 months. I'm just a month.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, like you could only see my stomach. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And then I remember we had an award show, or I was walking somewhere, and Tony Del Bosque, who we just had 2 episodes ago, he was like, "You look like he's like walking across like the hallway or something." He's like, "I thought you were like a." One of those
víboras que acaban de comer.
No. Yeah, no. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to blank. Like those, not Neanderthals, like those people, like those monsters, not monsters, but you don't see, and there's sightings of them. What do you call those?
Sasquatch.
Sasquatch. Like that.
Yeah.
And he sent me a picture of it. He's like, "Te pareces así. You look like them." And it was like a Sasquatch kind of thing with just like this big belly. I'm like, oh my god, I do look like that. Because it was just a belly. And so then I had my kid, and that's when I started noticing, like, okay, I'm gaining weight. Like, all right. And again, my mom was always like, oh, you need to put this on so you don't have like that belly, like that pregnant, like after belly. Or
fajas,
And I was like, Mom, that's it, the faja. Yeah. And I was like, Mom, no, it's so uncomfortable. I mean, like, I just gave birth like 8 hours ago. You want me to wear this already?
Like, that's why. She's like, strap it in, lady.
And she's like, put it on. And I was just like, okay. So I did. I put it on. And she's like, and wear it every day. And I'm like, oh. And now I'm like, dang, Mom, thanks. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah.
It does help a little bit.
No se te vuelve a cerrar.
I don't have like a hourglass body. I wish I had that, but the faja did help a little bit. And so, and then that's when I started noticing like that's when I started noticing that my collarbone.
The actually one that comes all the way to the top, and you like button and then zip.
Oh yeah. And then you're like, you can't even move. You're like,
Yeah. Then my collarbone is like that picture of like Homer Simpson, like kind of blending in with the bushes. Like that was my collarbone. Like, yeah, like blending in with everything else. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I just maintained it. Like I was, and because I was nursing and stuff, so I was like, I have to eat healthy because I have a child now,
right?
And so anyways, so then we had our second child, and I was just like eating healthy also. But there was a moment in time, and I think it was like the last years of my marriage, when I gained a lot of weight. And so I'm kind of opposite, because people say like, wow, when I'm stressed, I lose a lot of weight. No, when I'm stressed, I gain a lot because I just eat a lot.
Me too.
Like,
I'll stress
eat a lot.
Yeah. It's probably because you're an emotional eater. I know I have that.
Yeah.
It's like that's how we compensate and deal with the stress.
Yeah. Right. So just that, and like going through a divorce, and then going through, or not the divorce, I think like the last years of my marriage, and then work, and that was really stressful. So, and I had already had 2 kids, so that I ate
juggling
a lot.
everything.
Exactly. I ate a lot, and there was one point where I didn't see it. but then I went with my family to dinner and we took a family picture. And somebody had sent me that pic. That's the worst. Exactly. Yeah. And somebody sent me that picture and I thought, whoa, like, that's not me.
Recognize yourself. Yeah. It's
right.
like
I didn't recognize myself. Like I was just like, I was like, I've never seen myself like that. And my mom would tell me like, Jennifer, estás engordando. Like, Jennifer, you're getting big. Like, whoa. And like, Jennifer. And she's like, I'm sorry, I love you, but I'm just telling you, like, are you okay? Yeah. And then at that point you start thinking, like we're women and some of us are in our 40s and you're like, well, thyroid or this or that, all these things.
Yeah.
And she's like, Jennifer, like, just take care of yourself. Like, I just want you to take, like, you were never like this. Like, you've always been really thin. And I knew you wanted to gain weight or whatever, but now it's like, whoa. And then I told, then that's when I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, yeah, I noticed it. So then the divorce happened or whatnot and all this. And then I just started eating healthier again because I thought, well, my kids now live in separate households. And so I have to make sure that we eat healthy. I mean, I don't know how they eat. Right. I don't know how they eat with their dad. I'm sure it's good. But like me, I have to make sure that we eat healthy. And then, like I said in the other podcast, in the previous podcast, it's like I started running more just to be busy and to, so that has helped.
It's also your type of self-care for yourself.
Right. That's it. Right. The self-care, which will probably, I'm sure it'll be in another episode or whatever, and we can go down that rabbit hole also. But yeah, so that has helped. And so, and then now people tell me like, oh, estás bien flaca. Oh, wow. Because they were used to seeing me gain, when
during
I had weight.
Period. Yeah.
So then people
by the way, disclaimer, I mean, I know for you didn't recognize yourself and you didn't see, it wasn't the weight that you wanted, ideally.
Right.
But
right.
at least me, I was just like, Jennifer looks normal. What are you talking about? But not saying that I would be like, oh my God, Jennifer, you gain a lot of weight. But you didn't look like, oh my God, this is her normal self. Yeah. To me, it was just kind of like, Jennifer's Jennifer. Mm-hmm. And at one point, a la madre, I need to be concerned for Jennifer.
Yeah. Only my mom will be concerned for me. Only my mom. So then I lost weight again because I started like running and being more active and taking the boys hiking, which I said again before, like just doing a lot of active things. And I've lost weight, and then my mom will get, she's like, "Estás bien flaca," like
you're like, oh,
man, Mom. Yeah. Like, come on.
It's the worst.
But then she'll say, but okay, like stay like that. Like you're really skinny or you lost weight, but just stay like that. I'm like, okay, Mom, I'll try to maintain it. But I like again, it's just this is how I feel. I'm happy. This is what I'm doing with my boys, or this is my lifestyle now. So I'm just happy.
And I think that's what's important is when you find the balance of like not just being on a trend diet or being on something that you're trying to look to, that it's more of like I'm just being healthy, being conscious with your lifestyle, especially like, with your kids, your family, and like being intentional to like make sure you're healthy, not just because like, and then if you're healthy, you're going to feel good. And as an outcome, you'll look good, right? Because you're going to just be like doing those things.
But I'm glad,
I'm
glad that Jennifer talked on motherhood, because like her experience was she felt like she needed to gain weight in order to, for the baby and stuff like that. But like, I was on the opposite end of the spectrum. I had lost, or I was healthy before getting pregnant with my first child with Jackson. And I remember getting pregnant with Jackson, and it's like, oh my God, it looked like I had like a bowling ball on top of a watermelon. It was like, if I showed you no, and it's not me exaggerating, like that's how the picture looked. Then again, I gave birth at 5'2", I gave birth to a 9-pound, 21-inch.
Wow.
Like a Chihuahua giving birth to a shepherd. That corgi young shepherd. So that was rough for me because it's like it changed my body shape.
Yeah.
And then it was like trying to get back onto the grind. Like before I had, given birth to Jackson, I was already at that point on the trend of like go running. And Ron had just gotten back from the military at that time when we first got married and stuff. And he was still about, let's go and do this. Like we'd go hiking, last episode, Jennifer talked about going hiking and doing all that stuff. I haven't done that in a long time, but I remember when I was newlywed, I used to do that with him. We'd go on trails and whatnot. So after I had Jackson, I was like, okay, let me get back into that grind. But then 4 years later, I got pregnant again with Mia. And with
What were
Mia,
y'all
I did not get a
doing? I'm
lot of,
serious.
I know.
¿Qué estaban
I'm not
haciendo?
telling. There was no TV. Her parents were gone.
Ya no iban hiking, obviamente. Ya no estaban yendo hiking.
I know. And here's the thing. I think that I also, like, if you talk to my parents, I had kids late, according to my dad. And my dad, I have older parents. My dad's 11 years older than my mom. My mom's had me at an older age too. So I had Jackson at 28. And then my second kid came in my 30s, early 30s. And so to them, that was like, oh my God, that tardaste is like, now we don't get to enjoy them as much, right? Especially my dad. But whenever I had Mia at the beginning, I didn't gain a lot of weight. It was like I was always nauseous. It was the opposite of my pregnancy was with Jackson. With Jackson, my hair was flowing and skin was great. With Mia, it's like
she's sucking out the beauty. Yeah.
Right. It sucked it out of me. And then, but at some point, it's kind of like it changed and I started gaining. And then after her, it was just like it was back to that yo-yo and fluctuating. And then I just couldn't get it off. Whatever I did, going to what Rita said, those fat diets, because it's like you want to be healthy, but then it's like you need to understand as women, especially after kids. And when did you have kids? If you get older and you're in your mid-30s,
it's harder to lose weight. Yeah.
And you just racked up having your family at your mid-30s. It's like your metabolism is the metabolism de la 20-some-year-old that popped out of baby.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been a long journey for me now trying to get back to healthy. And I'm so glad that both of you talked about how, like, for you, Jennifer, you talk about your boys and being mindful of that. One of the things that when Jackson and Mia, as they have been growing up, for me, a big thing was, les sirvo un plato chiquito or mediano, like what would be a normal plate, I never get like the big bowl. And I always tell them, like, here's this much. If you want more, ask for more. I don't overserve.
Right.
And then the other thing has always also been like, you don't letting them know you don't have to finish what's on your plate.
Right.
Like,
right. That's another thing
from my parents. Like, and it's funny because my parents would come and visit early on, and my dad would be like, "No se están acabando la comida. Like, you're not finishing your
starving children in the world. You need to eat all your
like, uno gastando el dinero, and like, we're wasting our money." And so I had to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Correct. I had to have the conversation with my parents and say, that is how you were raised. That's how you raised me. I'm raising them different. Don't make them feel bad. And so now my kids know, like, if I'm done, I'm done. I'm walking out, I'm picking up my plate, I'm done. Or si quiero más, sure, mijo, here's more. And sometimes I don't mean to be rude, but like, for example, Jackson's the oldest, and he is now getting into that phase where his body's changing because he's, a preteen.
Yeah.
And so he lives, my athletic one is Mia, wrestling, ballet, very active. Jackson likes cycling and likes to go on runs, but lately, like any preteen boy, all he wants to do is game or be on his computer. So I have to be that mala and just be like, mijo, I think you've already had enough. Like, because you want more.
Yeah.
Like, hungry. I'm like, I said, sure, you want more, but you're also not burning that. I said, so maybe go into the gym. I said, get on the bike, go do this. And I tell him, like, he's like, le digo, mira, traes el puchis. And he's like, Mom. And I'm like, I said, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just want you to know I struggle. I said, and I'm very open about my struggle, mijo. So I don't want you to go through that.
Yeah.
It's rough,
Yeah. And like on that same like token of like, not forcing or like changing the parenting of like how our parents were, right? Like, acá todo en el plato, like no vamos a gastar comida porque no tenemos, like, like not wasting. And like, with like my kids too, the boys, like, they'll eat and same thing. Like if my mom or my tias or we're somewhere and they're like, ay, cómete todo, no te bajas de aquí hasta que termines, And it's like, no, está bien, it's okay, and now same thing, like with my oldest one, like he's active, but for a long time, he was always very like lean and little and, was on the smaller side. And then all of a sudden he discovered the love for tacos, like bean and cheese tacos, and he's like, these are so good.
Mexican jazz.
Yeah,
Like,
oh yeah, he loves his frijoles, and so and he loves his flour tortillas, and I'm like, and so he's like, I want this every day, and I'm like, you can't have it every day, but like, he's also been like, now he put on the weight that he didn't put on like for those few years when he was really little, porque he wore like a size 2 forever, like he would fit into him still. When he was like 4, and then all of a sudden it was like, dude, like, ya no le queda nada. And he just like, started like eating more and growing, and and he's growing, like, but like now too, like I find myself like it's a hard line to find. Okay, how do we tell our kids with love and coming from a place with love because you care about them, but you don't want them to go through the same struggles that you went through, where it's like te pones llenito, like people are making comments about your weight, or te dicen la gordita, el gordito, because you want them to be fit, but also you don't want to give them those insecurities that were given to you, right?
Correct.
Because you're like, oh, a mí me decía, mija, ya estás gordita, or like para de comer, or it's like,
and not that you're calling them estás gordito. You're just like, hey, mijo, I've noticed you've gained a little bit of weight. It's not a bad thing, but just it's important to be healthy. Like I always correlate it to, I come from a family that has, on my dad's side, there's a lot of diabetes, high blood pressure.
Yes.
So I always tell them that's why you want to lose weight. I said, doesn't chulo ya estás. But it's like, but I always tell them, you just want to be healthy because you don't want to have diabetes like grandpa, or you don't want to struggle with that. I say, because on the long run, that's what you're trying to avoid. It's not that the kid is ver guapo, like I always let them know that.
Yeah, that's where I try to come
I'm sure
from
you're the same
too.
way with your sons.
When I have those conversations with them, general, like, the sugar, right? They want like donuts, they want popsicles. And I'm like, Papi, if you already had one thing of sugar today, like that's enough. Like, we don't need to have more. Because like, and I'll show him videos like, this is what sugar does to your body. Like, this is what too many carbs do to your body, and not because, and I try to like move away from like, oh, because you're going to get fat. It's more of like, it's not healthy, and I just try to move to the topic of educating on being healthy, because I feel like that's one thing too, like in our like Latin community, it's like, we weren't educated on like what's healthy and what's not healthy, and so like we were talking about like, being on a diet and trying to lose weight, and you're like, oh, but I had an apple and a banana or like whatever for breakfast, and it's like, that's great, but like, it's like, it's sugar, it's not necessarily the best thing so early in the morning, right? Like we want more protein or whatever, and so those are things that we have to educate ourselves on so that we know like how to do it properly, because I know I didn't know for a long time. And when I started trying to get into the healthy lifestyle, I thought maybe I was like, I would make my like carnation shakes or whatever, like in high school, and and I thought it was healthy. Con lechera, and I'm like, oh, me so licuado, but it's full of sugar. Like, it's not healthy.
Really quick, have you ever seen those bionicos that they sell at the fruit stand?
Oh yeah,
they call them bionicos. Tons of fruit.
Yeah,
and then like in nuez, and then you're like, granola, pero tiene miel, and then you're like, well, what is the creamy part? They're like, es que le echamos carnation y leche lechera.
Yeah, you think you're being healthy with your bionico, but it's like full of sugar. Yeah, and so it's like educating yourself on like, and your family. And so I think like if we start now with our family, and like that next generation will be more of like health conscious, and not because you want to look a certain way, but more of like, it's just a healthy lifestyle. I think that's a big one.
I think you're exactly right. And it's so again, it's different for us. We're on the other end, because my son is super, super skinny. Yeah. And I'm just like, eat whatever. That way you can like get a little bit of meat on yourself. But that's how I was.
Yeah. Let me send over some frijoles tacos.
Or my family, my mom is like, está bien flaquito. Like, ¿quieres más? You want more. But the thing is, so again, he's probably going to be like me. But then I ate unhealthy, because I'm like, give me another cheeseburger. Give me all the pizza. Give me all the tacos and the tortillas. But then when I'm in my 30s trying to have a kid, I can't, because, the gestational diabetes and all that. So I need to be aware of that for him, because he's so active. Like, he plays 2 sports. He's consistently running all the time. And he's so skinny. But
that's my little one too, because they're the opposite.
Right. So I just need to because then we're like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, eat more, so you can get a little bit more meaty.
And you're
but
right,
it's
because
not
that's
that
where your mind goes too. When you see him all flacos,
Mhm.
like you're like, oh, see, like, sometimes he won't eat his meal, like a good balanced meal. And then like later he wants goldfish and like,
Yeah.
yogurt gummies. And I'm like, oh, está bien, porque no comió nada. Like, déjalo que coma esto.
Yes.
But then it's like he's
Uh-huh.
snacking all
I
day on food
think
that's not healthy,
Right.
Correct. But I
Right.
think if we sat down and noticed our kids' eating habits for the day or whatever, yes, there's going to be days when they're eating goldfish or chucheria, whatever, junk food. But overall, I think it's that mindset that we were already bred into and raised in. That's what makes us go, estás bien flaquito. You need to go and eat, and that's
Yeah.
that mentality that our parents instill. It's not so much, I saw my kid eat goldfish earlier. It's more of, it's just innate. It's in there. And that's what kicks in. Like, ponte a comer, te vas a ver bien ñanguito, you're a string bean.
Yeah.
But just keeping that in check. And I think that for women, for us, I feel that now where I'm at my age, weight loss, it still bothers me. It's going to be there. I mean,
Right.
But I think the older you get and the more set you get in your ways and in your person, you become comfortable with, okay, it's not so much now I need to keep up with las jovencitas or like the, young 28, 30-year-old. I'm like, now for me, it's more of like, I'm a woman that's in the 40s. I'm like, the 40s is knocking on my door, like months away.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's more of, I don't need to keep up with that. I just need to be healthy. For me.
Yeah,
So,
right.
Oh, good.
I can
And
die.
if you're feeling good,
Right.
right? Like,
So
It's not
yeah.
good. I just don't want to die.
right. No, so you're right, because I mean, you go to the doctor and it's like, I got this. I got my carbs in check. I'm good with the sugars. And then it's like, no, el colesterol. I'm like, are you kidding me? And it's like that Pito Olivares song comes on in the background. It's like, el colesterol. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So one thing to the other.
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
Yeah.
hey.
And it's important to
is.
remember that there's a lot of factors besides diet that affect us. You were talking about being stressed at work and, like at the latter part of your marriage as you were nearing the divorce. Cortisol, when your stress levels are high,
yeah.
it doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to lose weight.
Yeah.
Right.
And so just keeping that, everybody talks about it, that happy balance, work-life balance, but it's hard, especially if you're hustling out there, trying to keep a job down, trying to, be a mom or a single dad or single mom, whatever it may be. You just need to give grace to yourself. I think Rita talked about that earlier, giving yourself a little grace in that.
And it's hard because when you're
yeah.
balancing everything, you feel like something has to give. And unfortunately, I think we're just so used to like being selfless that it's usually ourselves that we're like, okay, like I can't do it all. So that means I'm not going to the gym today, or I am not going to do that workout, or I'm not taking those 30 minutes to just take a calm thing because I need to pack snack bags or I need to pack lunches. And it's like, because that was me last night. Like, I'm like, I was packing snack bags, at like almost midnight. And I'm like, dang, I should be asleep, but it's like, there goes your sleep.
Yeah.
Like, I need to make sure everybody else has everything.
Right.
And I think too, like now at the point that we're at too, like, in motherhood or careers, lives, it's like working out and eating healthy. It's just about feeling good, because now you start realizing like, how do you feel? And like and even regardless if you're fat or skinny or you're not at the weight that you want to be, it's like, you don't feel good. Like it's hard because like, if you're eating bad, then you feel crappy. And if you're not getting time to work out, like you said, your cortisol levels and your stress levels are high, and that makes you irritable and it makes you frustrated, and it affects everything. So I think now like you realize how important it is to like have that time to yourself. Like we talked about the self-care, and like 30 minutes on a bike or in a workout or yoga or doing a Pilates, whatever. It's like, it makes you feel good, and you realize like, oh, I went for a run and I feel better. Like my mind's clear. I can have a more leveled conversation with my partner.
Endorphins.
Like it's
all these science words.
Yeah. We're like Google.
Here's another one. No, high blood
bit.
pressure too. Like you don't need, like, I feel great. Yeah, but your high blood pressure is like, your blood pressure is like skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
So shifting a little bit from weight, because
Mhm.
that's been like a big focus for us. But we talked about beauty standards. And so I think weight plays into beauty, and beauty being like, there's a lot of stress right now on women looking eternally youthful. Or if you're Latina, no andes tirada, arréglate. Why don't you have all the contouring done? What
are you talking about?
No yeah. I'm like, ¿por qué no te ves como Rita 24/7? But that's the other part, that this leads into. That there's also these expectations where you always have to, if you will, be put together, look nice. Porque andas tirada, like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the only feeling that. But I think that's that's the other side of the coin. You have the weight and physical appearance of like just your body type, and then you have, okay, if si estás gordita o estás flaquita, do me a favor and now put on some makeup. Because you're supposed to look like this. So, what is your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Yeah, go ahead, Jennifer. Yeah.
I always admire. I would like, well, not me. No, I always admire people who have natural beauty, and they you don't have to put any makeup on, and you can just put up your hair in a messy bun, and you look so cute. And I'm a jeans and t-shirt person, and so I just want to go to jeans and a t-shirt, but I do have to put on a little bit of makeup or something. And again, my mom has always told me, like, arréglate, like, come on. And so I'm like, okay. So I couldn't wear makeup until I was 15. I don't know if that's how you guys were. Like, I could not wear makeup.
Do like clear lip gloss. That was it. Yeah, middle school.
Yeah. So then I started wearing makeup when I was 15. So and I was like, okay, I like the way I look.
Yeah. But then have impeccable face because our mom told us wait till you're 15. And we would put on makeup.
I know, right? Yeah. So, but then I see, I have gone to the stores, I'm like, I'm just going to go in and rent and get something. And then what happens? I see somebody that I know all the time. It doesn't smell. So now it's just like, all right, I'm going to get ready. I'm just going to, because you can't see me like this. So,
yeah, and like,
how about you, Rita?
I mean, for me too, it was like
not that Rita knows what it looks like to be messy.
Oh my gosh, no, I do. Yeah, my hair gets crazy. You haven't seen this hair, but like no, like with my mom too. Like it was like growing up, I mean, I wasn't allowed to wear makeup, until like middle school. It was like clear lip gloss, when I was like 14, and then like high school, then it was like okay, And of course, I would sneak the makeup to school and try to put my hair on.
Yeah.
And the white eyeliner, that was a thing. And at least in Corpus Christi, it was that. But, and so, yeah, I mean, I think I started like associating that. I think we associate beauty with like makeup and fixing yourself up and everything, But even as I got older, then it was like, my mom would always, since I was little, and, like in the Mexican culture or Latin cultures, getting your ears and having your little earrings since you're a baby. When you're a little girl, you pierce them right away, right? And so my mom always me tenía las coquetitas or whatever. And then like, I think like in middle or high school, like I would start switching them out or whatever. And so a veces iba a algún lugar, like you said, I was running to Walmart, and I was in college, and I'm like, whatever, like, shorts and a t-shirt, and I would go out, my mom's like, ay, ni te pusiste aretes, like, no te vas a arreglar, like, and I was just like ingraining that, like, oh, you're gonna go out like that, like no earrings, you need to fix your makeup, and so, and for some time, like I would just do it, but then like now that as you get older too, like I realized too, like it's just you're so used to like putting on a little bit of something and fixing yourself up, and now I feel like if I don't start my day, like even if I don't put on like a full face of makeup, but if I can at least go in and put like my like tinted moisturizer and like a little gloss or something, and comb my hair, put in a bun, whatever. But if I just do a little bit of something for myself, I do feel better. Like, and I don't know if it's just like a mentality because we're so used to associating it. But like if I'm, cleaning the house and doing stuff, like no me arreglo, like me siento toda tirada, I even get in a bad mood, like if I look I'm in the mirror and I'm like, oh, like it's like, you just look and you're just like, man. And so when I just give myself a little bit of time, even if I don't go all out, I feel better. And I feel like, I don't know if it's just,
Never seen the non all out, but I'll
oh my
allow
gosh,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't think anybody that knows Rita has ever
Oh
seen her
wow,
in
no, you'd
that
be surprised at
light.
no.
I know, but like, what?
Yeah.
Jennifer and I like, sure.
Oh yeah, no, there's plenty of games I get to with online, just putting on a cap, sunglasses today, and yeah, because yeah, those early ones. But yeah, I mean, it is like I feel like it is like you're just used to always having to like fix yourself up somehow, and like, and for me, it is like I feel better when I
That's
do it.
standard
But
now.
yeah, yeah,
Because it's a standard. Let's be honest. It's not so much. I don't think the standard anymore is. It's okay, just a little bit. You talk about like throw on a little lip gloss, little tinted moisturizer. It's more of the standard is now you have to be camera ready at every instant when you go out, like because that's what's on social media. It's like you have all these girls selling you that. I'm a girl mom, I'm a boy mom, I'm both, and I can tell you that my daughter is affected by that all the time because the other day I caught her trying to put on makeup and trying to do a little makeup tutorial with her
oh
BFF
my gosh,
online,
yeah.
and she was looking like Ronald McDonald, but I don't think she's watching the right tutorial,
Yeah.
but
She all
but
has
it's
like a
kind of
million
like,
views, yeah.
yeah, but but it's there because that's what girls do. It's like, let's unbox the makeup that I just bought and look at this highlighter and highlight this feature and then do this. And you want luminosity. And that's what girls grow
And
up
it's
with. And it's
crazy,
kind of like, si
yeah.
vas a salir, if you're going to go out, always be done up. It's always, like I said, always be camera ready because you never know. Insta moment.
Yeah,
You're like, you're at Target.
yeah.
But it's sad because what is that saying, especially to Latina women, because a lot of times I think regardless of nationality, Latinas, we kind of, there's this unknown dogma or stigma or whatever, that unspoken rule, if you will, that una Latina nunca anda tirada. She's never
Or you
underdressed.
have
She
to
never
look like
looks,
Sofia
always
Vergara
has to look
and Jennifer Lopez,
correct.
It's
You always
like,
have to be put together, and it's like, and if you don't, it's like, what kind of Latina are you? Like,
yeah.
oh, you get that judgment even from your own family.
Right.
Because
Right.
it's like, and it's, are you sick? Why aren't you wearing on makeup? Why haven't you put on,
Yeah.
and it's sad. It's sad, but it's true. It's there. But again, I think it goes with a lot of the things everybody touched on, which is confidence, self-confidence, self-worth, finding your identity. As I get older, I know that I don't wear as much as makeup as I'm not gonna say I would like to, but as what is expected of me. In college, again, for me, I grew up tomboyish, so it wasn't makeup wasn't a big thing for me until like I wanted a boy to like me. I grew up with a lot of guy friends ever since I was in like middle school, high school. I just blended with men better because I grew up with my brothers. The oldest was my sister, so she was more like my mom than really my my girlfriend. So it was kind of like I grew up with a bunch of guys, so it was easy for me to hang out with guys. So I didn't feel the pressure to look nice. And then it's like until I wanted a boyfriend, and then it was like I told my sister-in-law, "Can you help?" And then in college is when I started noticing the women around me. Like I had a sorority sister that, my God, to this day, she's gorgeous and she's like a makeup artist and does all this stuff that I'm just like, yo tengo tres productos. I have three products on my head. I try to keep a balance between that of, dress yourself up, especially if you're going to go to work. But the older I get, I'm more concerned about, clogged pores, arrugas, than necessarily do I have my full face on. I probably spend more time doing my skin care than necessarily my makeup face.
Yeah.
It's like, what serum do I need? Hang in there a little longer. Like that just becomes her.
Yeah. Getting your retinol creams and everything. Yeah.
I think that's who has been the change. That it's
crazy
it's not
how
so much
you
makeup.
It's crazy how you get older and now you start worrying about like the crow's feet and the lines and this and that and whatever, everything.
Because then it's like it almost becomes like, makeup becomes your worst enemy. Porque si, like, if you have this esas arrugas aquí or here or this, then it becomes more of like your every
Taking
crease
it on,
that makeup's gonna take it on.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I know it's
Defining
funny,
again
like,
to be
so
valid.
you're talking about, Mia doing the videos and stuff. And like, I was talking to somebody the other day and they had like a teen daughter and they're like, oh yeah, my daughter, we were at Ulta and she wanted like these $60 products for her face because she watches these videos and they have like a 13-step face routine. And like, she finds her like icing her face in the morning. And I'm like, hey, I don't even ice my face in the morning, you know? And so like, it's just like this whole like phase, or I don't know what it is, like all these young girls are so in tune with like taking care of their skin, which is like, it could be a good thing, but then it's also like, are we overdoing it, like, because it's such a beauty standard that like we look ageless forever, and that we don't age and we have this perfect like glossy skin or whatever. And it's like, you have 13-year-old girls now going to Ulta getting like, $60 products. And I'm like, dude, I didn't buy that till like I could afford it and I had my own job and mortgage, it's like my mom wasn't gonna buy me that, at 13 years old. I was using Nivea, it's like Pond's, the little Pond's cream. It's like, but yeah.
Crema tres caritas.
Yes. And so, it's like, it's crazy how different it is now, like what girls are, or what they feel the need to, I guess, do because it's like a trend, but it's like, I don't know, that's crazy.
Correct. Yeah. There's a lot of expectations, I think, for them physically, like not just, we touched weight, we've touched now like the beauty standard. I think the three of us have gotten into this conversation before. When you have women, like the representation of Latinas in modern day society is like J-Lo, Sofia Vergara, like Rita mentioned,
Shakira,
Shakira. It's like, which don't get me started with Shakira, because lately I feel like she's been doing some stuff. Her face don't look the same.
Right. I haven't even paid attention.
But it's kind of like that's the standard of what a Latina looks like, and then everybody else we're just trying to keep up with, And these women, I mean, that's their job though. Their job is to always look on
They're
point,
like full-time working out,
right,
getting meals made,
or they're gonna sell you a product. Like if we think of J-Lo, she's trying to sell you a product, her J-Lo beauty
her
care,
J-Lo
so she's
glow,
giving you her. Yes, it's like, ma'am, that's not where your
okay. I've been guilty of going on her page, but I haven't bought anything. But I'm like, what is this J-Lo glow? And I'm like looking at the reviews and stuff.
It's just they say luminous, whatever, it's tinted moisturizer. I'm like,
yeah.
But I'm like, some of those things, I'm like, it's just their genetics. Doesn't matter what you do, you're not gonna look like them. Or like, if we think of Modern Family with Sofia Vergara, like it's like she was the stereotypical Latina, always with the high heels, always with the cute fitted clothes. And so then it becomes like, oh, that's the trophy wife. You want to look like that. You're Latina, it's what you look like. And I'm like, no. Like for me, I like the Latinas that embrace, this is who I am, my personality, this is it, and this is what I look like. Salma, Hayek is one of those people that I kind of like, I like a lot, because as she's gotten older, she's very candid about her aging, and she'll show you like, look at my canas, look at all this. She's like, and then she'll do videos where they're like getting her dressed up or whatever, and they're like, he doesn't like it, my stylist. So they're painting them because they're like, you're about to go to an event. But she's very honest, like, I have to do this for this event. She's like, but I don't like to, like, she's like, I like being me at my
she's
age.
embraced herself. Yeah.
And there's a lot of women out there, not just Latinas, but of all, backgrounds, nationalities, and ethnicities out there, that is the thing now. They're trying to counter the current trend and say, I'm a 50-some-year-old woman, or I'm a 40-some-year-old woman. Here's my gray. I'm embracing my gray. And they're trying to show you, like, don't let age hold you back. You can still look amazing and fabulous.
Yeah. So aging is beautiful. It's a part of life. And, we learn to love ourselves for, how we mature,
And who cares what your family tells you?
It matters they call you Kikita, Rita la Guitarrita, or whatever it is, You're still gonna be beautiful, okay?
Rita la Guitarrita.
Oh, God, yeah.
I know it's tough, and I hope that all the our viewers that are, whether you're listening or you're watching, that by hearing our stories, you identify that there's many women that are going through that struggle. Not, you're not alone. We're all trying to kind of find our place, but, and I know we didn't talk about it today, but there's men out there too that are probably going through the same thing, because nowadays it's kind of like even men's beauty standards have changed. It's like, be a little, be a mixture between completely hairless and lumberjack. It's like,
what does that look like?
How do you want me to do that? It's like, no hair aquí, todo pelón, nada, wax everything, but have a nice, beautiful full beard.
Yeah, exactly.
Be gritty and manly.
Yeah.
It's like, men struggle with that too, just in a different way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because
the dad bod, but
it's
still
like,
fit, but not fat. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Even though they say dad bods are bad.
That'll be a whole, we'll have to find another guest host for that whole episode.
I know.
That's a big one too. Yeah.
Another guest that has like hairs coming out of his back and neck.
If that's how they fill their beds, I'm like, I'm not gonna judge. I'm not gonna judge if that's how they fill their beds. Go for it.
Yeah. Trim a little.
Trim it up.
Trim it.
Trim that neck. The tías and mamás would always say, like, a la moda lo que te acomoda. Fashion is what you make of it.
Yeah, you have to embrace what you like and how you feel, what you look like. And, I think at the end of the day, it's about loving yourself and being confident in who you are. And whether it's with extra weight or less weight or more hair or no hair, it's like, if you feel good, you're going to look good. You may give off that like vibe of like, I'm good with me. And, that's if you're okay with yourself, then that's what matters, So
as long as you're healthy, that's all that matters.
And healthy.
Stay healthy.
And thriving, however that looks like for you.
Right.
Because it's important to remember that, there are people women, men out there that are they're hustlers. They're just trying to build a better future, better life for themselves, for their kids. And sometimes, unfortunately, our health and our looks takes a little bit of gets put in the back burner, if you will. Yeah. And then it's kind of like, I'm not saying I promote that, but it's understandable because we've all been in that journey and it happens. And it's just knowing like, okay, this is going to take a little bit of backseat, but just remember, refocus it, bring it back, because what matters is, like both Jennifer and Rita said, is you being healthy in every possible.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we have come to the end of our show. Thank you so much, listeners, for tuning in. Audience, don't forget that if you want to listen to us, you can follow us on YouTube and whatever other platform that you listen to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of those good ones, so you never miss a show. So until next time, a la próxima.
And remember, you're beautiful.
Bye. Yes, you're very beautiful.
We will be giving you a list of our beauty products.
Bye, everyone.